Chief Kick-A-Bitch of the Slap-A-Hoe Nation.
Oh, shit.
It's called A Bad Day to Be Billy.
Okay.
Before getting into this reminiscence, I bought the complete set of Mrs. Piggle Wiggle.
Oh, I love those books.
I never read them. I was uncertain of what age they are appropriate for, but Sir Keat assures me that they are perfect for his age group after she started reading them to him. Good recommendation, Pop.
5 to 13.
Sir Keat took Charlie shopping for clothes to start first grade this fall, and they both had a great time doing it. Those preparations led me to recall events I haven't thought about for almost 60 years. There is one such memory to the best of my recollection. Names have been changed to protect the guilty because one of the principal characters is still alive. When Charlie and I started first grade in a Catholic school, we had all new classmates. One of them was Billy Harris, a real piece of work. The following sequence of events were an almost weekly occurrence in first grade until we put a stop to it. Twice daily, Sister Mary Matthew led us down to the basement restrooms in 2 columns lined up by height. Charlie and I, being among the tallest, were at the back and could see everything. Everyone except Billy had no problem going along with the program. No talking, keep your hands to yourself, stay in line. All the rules a teacher needs to control a class of 35 first graders to prevent injury and keep her sanity. The first few times Billy had to be corrected, he was merely reminded of the rules. After a few weeks, it became obvious that he was deliberately being an a-hole, so Sister Mary told him to stay after school. At the moment, the class was treated to the most degrading display of groveling by a male we had ever seen before.
Whoa.
Charlie and I never saw anything rival it afterwards either. He dropped to his knees with his head bowed and hands clapped tightly together at chest height while loudly whining in a voice that was unusually high-pitched even for a first grader. Please give me another chance, sister. Please give me another chance. Over and over.
Oh, my God.
I can still hear it in my mind, and I feel a deep disgust just thinking about it. I don't know why she relented and let him off the hook, but Sister Mary did every single time. Maybe she thought he was too pathetic to punish her. She didn't want the hassle of having to stay late with him. Maybe she thought that his self-humiliation was sufficient punishment. Regardless of the reason, her leniency just rewarded the behavior, so he kept doing it. The boys in our class were so filled with contempt that none of us would talk to him. The rest mimicked him at recess, and other times there were no nuns around to box our ears. Nobody should be forced to endure watching such a self-abased display, and I was fed up with his disrespectful treatment of a kindly old nun the rest of us respected. She was a great teacher and a genuinely caring human being. One day I had to take a wicked piss, and his antics were delaying me from getting to the bathroom. I was at my breaking point. So was Charlie, but what came next was my idea, so it was my chore. My plan was to catch him on his way home, and I needed Charlie to make sure it stayed one-on-one.
And beat his ass.
After laying a beat down on him, I gave him a warning. The next time you pull that crap on Sister Mary, you're dead meat. I didn't think I'd get in trouble for it because telling his parents would be to tell on himself. I did not expect him to complain to Mary Matthew, but he did just that the very next day. Her only reaction was to smile at Charlie and me before telling Billy that what happens on a student's way home is none of her business.
Nice!
Yeah! That was never her policy in the past. She was tired and coming up on the end of a teaching career that had so far spanned 50 years.
Wow.
And probably liked being the only nun who had 2 personal enforcers. He was a good little boy for the rest of the year except for an act of incomparably malignant assholery the week after Easter in mid-April. A major miscalculation on his part. It was a Monday morning before the first bell rang, 5 days after Charlie's father's death.
Oh.
Sister Mary had not yet arrived, and the little asslick called out, "Hey, Charlie, I'm glad your father died."
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Ah, yeah.
This ought to be good.
This is going to get out.
Somebody's going to get their ass beat.
Oh, my God, yeah. It's going down.
The little piece of shit did not realize that Mary Matthew was on the way and had arrived right outside the door at that moment and heard everything. She couldn't get back to the moon. She couldn't get to the back of the room to reach him before I did, so she couldn't save him had she been inclined. We had those antique desk and chair sets that were bolted to the floor. They were the kind with slanted writing surfaces that opened upwards. They had long since last used obsolete inkwells. I punched him twice in the face with a quick left-right combination, grabbed his hair with my left hand and his collar with my right, yanked him out of his chair, and kicked him 5 or 6 times after his ass hit the floor. Sister Mary would show no mercy this time. She pulled him to his feet by his earlobes and yelled at him with thunderous enthusiasm.
Nice!
He was given detention for the rest of the week. I was given a day, but she spoke softly to me, telling me that I should not have done that.
Yeah, they always say that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Billy was on his knees begging for another chance until Sister told him, "Shut up, Billy. Just shut up."
What a fucking worm.
The rest of the class was in shock, with more to come. When Charlie heard her give me a detention, he said he wanted one too. She said she wouldn't give him one because he had not done anything wrong, so Charlie got up and power walked to Billy's desk. Once there, he said, "We'll see about that." Grabbed his hair, yanked him out of his chair, and kicked him a few times after he fell to the floor on his ass.
I love it! I love these stories, man!
He got his detention, and Sister Mary stifled a laugh as she left the room. As she went down the hall to the office, we all heard her giggling.
Yeah.
With her out of the room, I looked Billy right in both of his black eyes and pounded my right fist into my left palm a few times while repeating, "Dead raccoon," with each impact. Charlie put his arm around my shoulder while saying that if they expel me, they had to expel him too. At that moment, Sister Mary returned with the principal and school nurse who assessed his level of consciousness. Sister Borgia, the principal, said that no one was being expelled except Billy was suspended for starting it. Billy went down on his knees, hands clasped, head bowed. "Please give me another chance."
What a fucking
Sister.
worm.
Revolting. While we were kept after school, our parents were called in. Sister spoke to Mr. and Mrs. Harris first and told them what happened, and of course Charlie's mother and my parents heard it as well. My parents were pissed, and I was in deep shit until then. That's when I saw their features soften. A deep sadness was in Charlie's mother's eyes. Billy was not so lucky. His father whipped his belt off, grabbed him by the arm, spun him around, and tore his ass up.
That's old school. I miss those days.
He was stroke talking. You know how they land a blow before every word in the sentence, explaining why you're getting your ass tanned?
Yeah.
In this case, a single sentence wouldn't do, so his father repeated the same one 4 or 5 times. He stopped when his pants were starting to fall down. Billy seized the opportunity to wiggle free and went crying to his mother, who slapped his face.
Damn!
Then they apologized to Charlie and his mother and announced that the only one in the wrong was Billy. His father asked Sister to send us home and keep Billy in detention for the rest of the school year instead of giving him a week vacation by suspending him. Charlie, his mother, my parents, Sister Mary, the principal, and I were standing there in stunned, opened-mouth silence. That was one brutal spanking.
Yeah.
I dropped the idea of beating Billy up again. It seemed to me that to be like a lion tormenting a mouse, there was just no honor in it.
Yeah. I understand. I've been there.
Yeah. After that shocking display, my father announced that detention was over and told us to go outside and wait in the car while the adults discussed the matter. Sister Mary and the principal offered no objections. Nuns or not, mere women did not go against a tough old veteran. Charlie and I told our parents we wanted to walk home, and my father told us to go ahead. His mother just nodded and told him to be home in time for supper. They knew that Charlie needed me right then. What came next permanently solidified our brotherhood. Mostly I just listened to Charlie express his sense of loss and grief as we talked. In his backyard, he told me he was worried about himself because he hadn't cried over his father's death. That was when the dam broke, and I held him for 15 minutes as his body was racked with just soul-wrenching sobs. And 10 minutes after that, Charlie's smile came back as we cracked up over, "We'll see about that."
Now, listen, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's totally cool.
it is.
Look, you have a family member die, a dog, men cry. That's just the way it goes.
Yep. And they were first graders, too. I asked him if he thought that I should have begged like Billy to get out of detention and fell to my knees to imitate his high-pitched whine while clasping my hands, and we both laughed until we cried. He still had a period of mourning to come, but at least he was able to start talking about it. His mother got home before us and had been watching and listening in the kitchen window. I had supper at Charlie's for the first time, and by his mother's invitation. I accepted mainly because Charlie needed me and partly because my mother made cabbage pierogi that night, something I thoroughly detested. Whereas his mother was serving homemade Italian sausage ravioli with a homemade sauce with whole Italian sausages simmered in it for hours.
Well, that sounds good.
That does sound good. My mouth is watering, man.
Oh,
After
yeah.
that, we ate where we felt like eating, like it was the most natural thing in the world. The next day, we swore a blood oath by cutting our right hands and clasping them together for a couple minutes. Our mothers lost it over that one when they compared notes on our accidents and came up with 4 after putting 2 and 2 together. My father was nonplussed. Epilogue, Billy served his suspension sitting in the school office under the eye of Sister Borgia, and afterwards was moved across the hall to the other first-grade classroom until the end of the year. He was still a topic of conversation until the color around his eyes returned to normal. Even in the classroom he was exiled to. They didn't start to accept him until mid-October of the following school year. 5 years later, I had to blacken one of his eyes again, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Damn, these stories are awesome.
I got a couple of blood brothers that I did that with. I'm still friends with them today.
That's
They're
awesome.
They are technically I would consider them my brothers.
That's awesome, dude. You should tell us that story in a lair sometime.
Yeah.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.